On this week's Ring of Honor, it's a draft about drafts. Who are the Ottawa Senators' best first-round picks in franchise history?
This is Brady Kachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens in the heart of our nation's capital. I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains and out in Manotick, Ontario. It is our good friend, Lalimes Martian. Today's episode is brought to you by our very good friends over at Gametime. Get last-minute tickets at the lowest prices guaranteed by heading to Gametime and use our promo code LOCKEDONNHL. It'll get you $20 off your first ticketing purchase. Terms apply. That's baseball, concert, any tickets you need. Go check them out at Gametime. Today is Friday, August 8th, and Pilsy, this guy, he guarantees it, and he comes through. Martian takes the third Ring of Honor of this season. I mean, we kind of knew it at the end of the show.
Yeah, and the worst part is he saved the winning pick for the final pick of the draft. He like that could have had the value of much earlier, and he was able to sneak it all the way past all four of our picks, Ross, and nail it. And we knew at that moment that was the ace up his sleeve. And hat tip to you, Martian. You called your shot and you nailed it.
Yeah, thank goodness. I would have looked like a real jerk if I didn't actually pull that one off. But yeah, like you said, Pilsy, I had a few tricks up my sleeve for that one. That was the Cult Heroes. And when you give a Messi a guarantee, you better pull through. So obviously, I'm pretty happy about the way that one worked out for me.
Now, with that said, it's not like it was a complete blowout. Your team had 41.3% of the votes. My squad had 34.8% of the votes. And Pilsy came in last place with 23.8.
Hey, that's better than I thought I was going to get, so I'll take it. That's our biggest margin of victory this Ring of Honor season. First 40%er.
Yeah, as far as this year goes, it could be considered a blowout, Ross.
Marshy, he called his shot too, though. Didn't Pilsy say, "I know a third place finish when I see one"?
yeah. Pilsy didn't like his squad at the end of that one, so hopefully you have better luck this time around, Pilsy.
Yeah, well, Martian he called his shot, but he did the Babe Ruth pointing to the stands where it's going to go and hit the home run. I pointed right down to the dirt in front of the pitcher's mound, and hey, at least I'm consistent.
You are consistent, and we'll see if your other consistent pattern holds up, and that's your third and fourth round picks completely taking you out of the running.
Yeah, I got to work on that. I've got back to the lab, looked at the blueprints, talked to my team, and we're going to put a lot of analyzing on how that third and fourth round goes for me.
Maybe that's why you wanted to select this one, because this is 4 rounds of first round picks.
Yes,
we're going to be doing.
Should be good.
This is going to be all the best first round picks in Senators history. Now, the voting is open to interpretation because some may value higher picks lower than maybe when you nail a late first round pick. Maybe people are going with career success. Maybe others going with success with the Ottawa Senators. That's going to be for you to decide, but there are lots of solid options. I counted 17 very good choices. And with our Ring of Honor draft, there's going to be 12 that will be selected. And we know that the winner of the previous Ring of Honor gets to select the order. So, Martian, who's it going to be going 1-1 in the draft of first round picks?
You are going to get that honor today, Ross.
Woo!
And I'm going to go ahead and let Pilsy pick number 2. I just feel a little bit bad for you guys at this point. So I thought I'd give myself that third slot. I like to think that it's a bit of a disadvantage going third. So
no,
I'm going to go in that third spot here. But I'm being nice, Pilsy. What are you talking about?
I'm not allowing this patronizing at all, just belittling us. The third spot is the correct spot in this draft, in my opinion. I was looking at it, and Martian, I thought you were going to go for 1-1, lead off strong, and I was hoping you would just say, Pilsy, you're the third place loser. Get in third place where you belong, because that's where I wanted to go. I think the turn at this draft is really good, and I think there's a top 6 I think there's a clear top 6, and you can order them differently. But after the 6, I think that's when this gets interesting, which is not good for me because when it gets interesting, I tend to fall off.
I agree with you. I just did my breakdown of tiers, and I got a top 6 as well. But I would even say I've got a top 1. I'm not hesitating with the first selection in this draft. And should we get to it? I guess there's not a whole lot else unless Martian wants to reveal his strategy this time, or maybe make a guarantee, whatever you want to do.
No guarantees for me this time, but don't let me get too hot here, boys. This could be 3 in a row for me, so choose wisely.
So we are already discussing dynasty conversations, 3 in a row. You've won 2.
I've won 2 in a row, but this could be 3. That's what I'm saying.
It could be. Okay. Well, it's on me and Pilsy to make sure that doesn't happen. So I've got the 1st and the 6th pick, and apparently we've got a tier here of 6 overall. I was between 2 players here, I will say, and maybe that's what I'm tiptoeing
You
around.
let off with making it seem like there's a clear 1-1.
Yeah, it's all about confidence. It's not as much what you say, it's how you say it. So I was trying to set the tone. But
And then immediately go back on it?
Yeah, contradicting yourself within a minute is never good.
Because when I was setting you up for 3, because 3 is a part of my sell job on this, but then I was like, damn, there's actually a 3 in both of the players I was considering. But I'm going with my gut, my separating factor being more success with the Ottawa Senators. The best, most valuable first-round selection by the Ottawa Senators was in 2008 when they drafted Erik Karlsson in the middle of the first round. Not only did the Ottawa Senators get Erik Karlsson 15th overall, A, they traded up to do it, so they knew that was their guy. B, it was in Ottawa. And C, the Swedish legend Daniel Alfredsson, a somewhat of a passing of the torch, goes up and makes the selection. All of the, let's say, fireworks that went around the pick, for them to have then selected a 150-pound defenseman who now has 3 Norris trophies, more than any other active defenseman in the National Hockey League. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's a silver medalist at the Olympics, and he is the best first-round draft pick that the Senators have ever made.
I can't disagree with you, Ross. He was 1-1 on my list. Certainly a great draft pick, former captain of the Ottawa Senators, and also part of the value, I think, with him here is when they traded him, they got a fantastic return for him too. So his value carries on in the form of the return from that trade.
Yeah, it's a great point as well. But I would also say, like, the most talented player to ever play for the Ottawa Senators. Like, Alfredsson's obviously the best, but in terms of pure entertainment value, buy your tickets and go see the Ottawa Senators play because of this man. To trade up to do it, to me, is by far the deciding factor here. Like, they knew they wanted Erik Karlsson, and he was not ranked that high. They kind of reached for him, considering everything around him. And it was like an immediate dividend. He won Best Defenseman at the World Juniors in Ottawa, like, months later, and then made it to the NHL still as a teenager. So for a mid-first round pick to do all that, easy choice here, Pills. You've been awfully quiet. I feel like I took your guy.
I mean, he was the 1-1 guy. If you would have let him slip to me, I would have been very happy. But yeah, and the fact that he was, what was the exact quote? He's 150 pounds soaking wet or something like that. Like, he was not a guy that was a slam dunk pick.
Yeah, well, Pierre Dorion said on this show here, the exact quote from Brian Murray was, "Do you want to begin your reputation leading the draft by taking a 5'10", 150-pound defenseman?" And he said, "Yes, I do."
Yeah, so worked out pretty good. So yes, good pick, Ross. Good pick.
Okay, go ahead, Pilsy.
All right, Ross went with a former captain of the Ottawa Senators. I'm going to go with a current captain of the Ottawa Senators. My selection will be Brady Tkachuk, 4th overall pick in the 2018 NHL entry-level draft. And this one's got a lot of attachments to it because if the Ottawa Senators don't make this pick, the entire landscape of how this franchise is changes. Like, first off, you've got the Montreal Canadiens taking Jesper Kotkaniemi a pick before. And Ottawa, a lot of Sens fans, hand up, they thought, okay, nice. Philip Zadina is there for the taking. Get a guy that scores goals. Luckily, they didn't go that route. They take Brady Tkachuk. Barrett Hayton goes next, then Philip Zadina. Vancouver gets Quinn Hughes later, but I still am glad that the Ottawa Senators get Brady Tkachuk here because he was the first real kind of turning point of this team rebuilding. And if you'll remember, this was the year that the Ottawa Senators chose to keep their draft pick, and then Colorado got to select next year's. Well, didn't they finish dead last that year? And still, that pick ended up being 4th overall, Bowen Byram. I'm glad the Ottawa Senators stuck to their guns, took Brady Tkachuk 4th overall, and allowed Colorado to take whoever, wherever the next year. The current captain of this team, the heartbeat and the face of this franchise, Brady Tkachuk is my pick. I feel good about him being the 1-2 pick here.
Yeah, great pick, Bills. He would have been 3rd, though. The guy who I was kind of thinking about in the back of my mind is still on the board. We'll see if Martian takes him, but how can you argue with all the points you made there? Most importantly, much like mine, where it's like you trade up to get him. This one, you give up completely on the next year when you're still going to be rebuilding. It shows that they believed in him, and it certainly paid off at 4th overall. Marshy?
Yeah, I mean, not a clear-cut pick for the Sens there, I don't think, with Brady Tkachuk either. I think a lot of people were speculating on that Zadina pick, and they kind of, I wouldn't say they went off the board. Obviously, there's a lot of name recognition there, but it was a great selection where they got him, considering the guys who ended up getting drafted around him as well. So they stuck to their guns, and Brady Tkachuk was a great pick.
And who's your pick going to be to lead us off here in the first round?
Yeah, so I know I have 2 picks in a row here, and I have your words echoing in my head right now, Ross, talking about what's going to look best on the graphic in the order I make the selections in here. That's something I haven't really had to deal with a whole ton. I don't think I've picked 3rd yet this year. So for this one, I'm going to go and I'm going to take where the player was selected as the deciding factor for the value here between my next 2 picks. I'm going back all the way to 1997, boys, where the Sens selected at 12th overall, Marian Hossa.
Okay.
Obviously, that's a Hall of Fame player right there, boys. He's going to be I think maybe there's a couple future Hall of Famers there on your board, but this one's already guaranteed. Hossa played 467 games for the Sens, and he had 380 points. Great numbers there, and then obviously went on to do amazing things after the trade for Danny Heatley. Like I said, 3 cups, Hall of Fame career. What more can you say about Marian Hossa? That was a great selection there at 12. Not at the top of the draft for Marian Hossa, so I like where I'm getting him here with the 3rd overall pick.
He was my 1-2 for sure, and 3 Norris trophies took precedent over 3 Stanley Cups from Marian Hossa, but also worth noting, Marian Hossa is the only Senators first-round draft pick to score 1,000 points in the National Hockey League. He scored 1,134. A guy who we could get to later on is at 995, so just didn't quite get to 1,000. Hossa, the reason, again, was he didn't have all the success in Ottawa, so I had to give the edge.
Yeah, I can't believe he was your 1-2 guy, Ross. Hossa was my number 6. So I'm liking how this is shaping up for my next pick here. Good pick, Hall of Famer, but when most of your success
he just squeaks by that. Yeah, good pick, Hall of Famer. The first Hall of Famer the Senators ever drafted, I should say. Or the first player going, because he went in before. Did he go in a year before Alfie?
Yeah, he was before.
Yeah.
And this is where you kind of know Pilsy's Sens fandom started a little bit later than you and I, Ross. So maybe he doesn't quite have the respect for what Hossa did as an Ottawa Senator either. He was very similar, I feel like, to like Tim Stützle, the way he was early in his career, just as far as like being a dynamic offensive player for the Sens at his age.
He just did so much away from Ottawa. That really devalued it for me. But I mean,
they could have held on to him, and it would have been still a really great pick, right? So, we're talking about great, first round draft picks. There's no denying that Marian Hossa is right up there for as far as great first round draft picks go, and he was my 1-2 as well, Ross. So thank you, Pilsy, for letting that one drop to me there.
I don't know why I'm getting so invested in this. I should let you two just catfight it out because I got Erik Karlsson and all of the hardware that comes with that. But Pilsy, Marian Hossa has the most goals in a single season in franchise history of guys not named Danny Heatley.
Who he was traded for.
Yeah. But success elsewhere, I think, would be a bit disingenuous.
3 cups?
No, obviously had success elsewhere, but don't discount the success he had in Ottawa.
How many other guys that we're going to draft through this have Stanley Cups, Pills?
A few.
Maybe.
A couple.
No, I'm not saying it was a bad pick. I just had him lower on my list. That's
Okay. Sounds good. Can't wait till Pilsy takes Brian Berard in the 3rd round. All right. On the
spoilers.
other side, we got our 2nd round that Martian will start off here. We'll get back to that in a second. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day, beautiful weather, and you realize you want to be in the stands, not on your couch. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without stress. And with the money you'll save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite more friends to come with you. Gametime makes that possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get the first pitch, and they got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worrying out of buying. Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, and it's easy to browse the app for an exciting game at the ballpark. If you want to head to a Jays game, you can do that with Gametime. And if you're tired of endless scrolling, trying to find the best deal, use Zone Deals. They'll pick the best seats in your section for you, and seat views in the app right before you buy, so you know exactly where you're going to be. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
All right, welcome back to the Locked On Senators Ring of Honor draft, the best first-round picks in franchise history. This is about our 19th or 20th Ring of Honor draft. You can go check out all of them available wherever you get your podcast. We also have a playlist dedicated to it on YouTube. We are through the first round. I've got Eric Carlson. Pilsy has Brady Tkachuk, and Martian has selected Marian Hossa. As always, it's a snake style. So, Marcia, you're up with your 2nd pick.
Thank you, Ross. And with my 2nd pick, I'm not going back too far into the past, just 5 years. And I'm going with, and obviously the Sens drafted 3 guys in the first round in this draft. And I'm going with the second of those 3 at 5th overall in 2020. And that is Jake Sanderson, boys, from Whitefish, Montana. Obviously, his career is just getting started here. I think we can all kind of project out what that career is going to look like. I think there's Norris potential in this guy. He's only played 236 games for the Sens, 127 points, but he's really starting to come into his own. And I really think that Jake Sanderson, with all said and done, by the time this career is over, it's possible that he could be looking at being this 1-1 in this draft if we were to do it again 15 years from now.
Yeah, it's a great pick.
And, at 5th overall as well, there was a lot of speculation about who the Sens were going to take with that 5th overall pick. I do not think Jake Sanderson was the consensus guy at the time. There was a lot of talk about the other defenseman in that draft who went immediately after him, Jamie Drysdale. I think a lot of Sens fans were hoping maybe that Drysdale would be the guy because Sanderson's stats didn't really stand out at the time. So the Sens yet again stuck to their guns on this pick, and they got a hell of a defenseman. Obviously the best defenseman from that draft.
Pilsy, did you have Jake Sanderson ahead or behind Tim Stützle?
Ahead.
Me too.
Yep, that's the right move there. So yeah, that's a nice little 3-4 turn there, Martian. I really thought the 3-4 spot was the clutch spot. So we'll see how this spins back around to you, but that's good value for your first 2 picks for sure.
Yeah, very good value. And yeah, I guess the separating factor being 2 picks later, why Jake Sanderson's ahead of Tim Stützle. With that, Pilsy, you are up with the 5th overall pick.
Well, I'll make this easy because we've already discussed the player I'm going to take here. 3rd overall pick of the 2020 draft. I'm going Tim Stützle here. I mean, arguably the best player of the 2020 draft, certainly better than Lafreniere and Quentin Byfield and Lucas Raymond. Maybe Jake Sanderson gets into that conversation, but as of now, I think it's clear to say that Tim Stützle is the best player of that draft, and he's only going to get better. He already had a season where he got 90 points, 39 goals. He focused a lot more on the defensive side of his game this year, got a lot more physical. Tinted Timmy is an absolute animal, so I was really thinking the 3-4 turn here would be a combination of Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson. So for me to get Tim Stützle here, I'm very excited. Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, two absolute legends and the core pieces of this Ottawa Senators franchise right now. I think this is a good 1-2 punch for the graphic, boys.
Yeah, it's great for recency bias, but I hope people understand that the Senators' franchise history, which is what this draft encompasses, is more than the last 7 years. I hope that the fans understand that.
Yeah,
because I'm going with a guy here, and Martian, I'm just going to say, I'm going with a guy here that it feels like as time goes on, there's less and less respect to what should be one of the most respected Senators of all time. Martian, what were you going to say, though?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, I considered that when I was at the turn there on my pick is having two current players. Is that an advantage? I think in some ways it is, but yeah, like because I figured that Pilsy was going to take Hossa and I'd end up with Tkachuk and Sanderson. So that was something that I was thinking through, but Pilsy made that decision for me and he ends up looking like that. So it's good. It's good, Pilsy. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Well, I'm going to go with Jason Spezza here with sixth overall pick. Jason Spezza, second overall pick in 2001. And the fact that, again, they got him on a trade right at the draft saying, how are we going to unload Alexei Yashin? Well, they had a pretty good idea that the first overall pick in the NHL draft that year was going to be Ilya Kovalchuk. And Ottawa said, okay, well, let's take the centerman from Ontario here. He could develop potentially into what Alexei Yashin was. The Yashin was also a second overall pick. But you look at the career that Jason Spezza had, his highlight reel is so sick. He had more games played by 100 than anyone else in his draft class. He had more points by 80 than anyone else in his draft class. Yeah, that's Ilya Kovalchuk right behind him. You look at just the longevity that he played with. 995 career NHL points. He's second behind Daniel Alfredsson in points by an Ottawa Senator. I want to say second in assists behind Daniel Alfredsson as well as an Ottawa Senator. The end of how Jason Spezza finished, a disappointing year when he was captain in Ottawa, and that team just kind of wasn't very good as well. Yeah. It was just a down year. And then I guess joining the Leafs and then being in Pittsburgh as a front office staff. Don't let that cloud your judgment of how elite an Ottawa Senator Jason Spezza was. Just go and search up his highlight reel if you need a little remembering. The end-to-end goal in Vancouver, absolutely sick. Oh, doctor, give me the needle against the Montreal Canadiens. Oh, yeah. Absolutely sick. This guy was, again, much like Erik Karlsson, a human highlight reel where if you're going to the game as a kid, Dad, who should I watch tonight? Keep your eye on number 19 because he was filthy with the puck.
So just to be clear, Ross's first two picks are current members of the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, cool.
They were also
nice. Sens fans love the Pittsburgh Penguins. There's no hate there. So good to have two Penguins on your top two picks. Great job.
You think Erik Karlsson wants to play for Pittsburgh? Like, there's no chance he does. He wants to be in Ottawa.
Everybody maybe. But I love how Pilsy's kind of taking over my role just by bashing Ross's picks because I'm kind of taking the Ross role where I'm going to end up, and I hate that I'm doing this, I'm going to end up kind of supporting Ross's pick here as well. According to my research for this draft, Jason Spezza is the only guy who, for the Senators, was over a point per game that I could come up with in this. He had 687 points in 686 games.
Yeah,
for the Sens.
No, it's a good pick. It would have been my next pick. He was best available on my board, but having two current Penguins as your picks, not where I would want to be sitting.
No, I'm very happy. I'm the only guy with two captains, and you were very clear that your first pick was, wow, I got a captain. Well, I got two in my first.
Neither of which are captains right now.
Well, one of them doesn't play anymore, Pilsy. Can't be captain when you're not playing. I think the role of captain might be filled in Pittsburgh with that 87 guy.
Yeah.
But at some point, 65, when he played in Ottawa, was considered the next best player in the National Hockey League. It was McDavid, Crosby, and Erik Karlsson. I got my third round pick on the other side, and this was my top 6. Much like Pillsy said, there was a tier of its own, and now it's going to get interesting on the other side. You're listening to the Ring of Honor, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. Welcome back to the Ring of Honor. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and Lalimes Martian. You can follow us on social media, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and vote on this draft at Sens Central. The draft will go live on Friday. We'll tweet out the graphic and send it on all social media platforms, but the voting will be on Twitter. We'll also put the link to vote below here on YouTube. So we're through 2 rounds, and I've got the pleasure of going in the third round here. And this is where, there's so many different ways that you can look here. I know Pillsy doesn't want me to go with the other guy that's on the team right now because he wants all of his team to be current Ottawa Senators. I get it. But I'm going to go with a guy who somehow, some way is still in the National Hockey League. And I just find it so incredible that a draft pick from 2006 is still in the league. Nick Foligno will be my next pick here. 28th overall. Boys, he's at 1,233 games played. The only first-round picks in Senators history that have played more games in the NHL than Nick Foligno are Marian Hossa and Jason Spezza. That's it. Nick Foligno, to be a late first-round pick and have that type of longevity, that type of success, be a captain for as long as he was with Columbus. Then he kind of went on the old, hey, let's chase a ring tour. He's landed as a mentor in Chicago. He just feels like an all-time guy. And for Ottawa to get him as late as they did, he had a couple of good years with Ottawa for sure. Yep. And then to be flipped for Mark Mathot, it feels like it's still kind of a helping hand to the organization for the next half decade as well. So look, his last year in Ottawa had 47 points and 124 PIMs. This guy was an animal. Sure, he took too many goalie interference penalties, but if we're going with the best first-round picks the Sens have made, getting a guy at the end of the first round who will play 1,300 games in the NHL, that's incredible value. So I'm going to go with Nick Foligno, my third-round pick.
Yeah, and you talked about that longevity. The only thing I think might end up hurting you here with this pick, Ross, is that he only played 4.5 of those seasons with the Sens.
I know that.
I know we talked about that with my pick with Marian Hossa as well, but I think that when people think of Nick Foligno, they don't necessarily think of him as a Senator because it's been so long since he was a Sen. It's been over 10 years. It's been 13 years, right?
And he's still in the league.
Still in the league, yeah. He's still doing his thing. Great leadership qualities as well in the guy. Who doesn't love the Folignos? Nick Foligno is a hockey name, baby. So I like the pick. I think it holds up well on the board here. And also, I don't think we've ever had Nick Foligno appear on one of our graphics. So it'll be interesting to see how he appears to the listeners and the voters.
Yeah, I like that too. And also, if any Sens fan needs to feel little butterflies for Nick Foligno, go watch any of his interviews where he's asked about his youth in the NHL. This guy cannot talk about Daniel Alfredsson enough as the guy who made him the leader that he is too. So he remembers his roots. He may not have played in Ottawa for much of his career, but he knows where he got his start and what molded him into the leader that he is.
And my favorite Nick Foligno moment as a Senator was his first NHL goal when he did the Foligno leap, his dad's signature celly after his first goal. That was a fun moment. So I don't hate the pick, Ross. He was a little bit lower on my list. I probably wouldn't have taken him in that spot, but I see where you're coming from with that.
I don't know if he would have made it to the last pick of the draft, and I wanted Nick Foligno on my board.
Alrighty.
All right. This is going to be a guy that I've had on my graphic on my team before. I'm a loyal guy, so I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to go with, in the 2011 NHL entry-level draft, 6th overall, Mika Zibanejad. And this player, if the Ottawa Senators would have had a little bit more conviction and realized the player he could become and not try to save some money bringing in a vet guy because they're too scared to re-up a young, promising talent with a big contract. He could have done great things in Ottawa. He was already starting to really pick up the pace. His final year in Ottawa, 2015-2016, he had 51 points after 46 and after 33 and after 20. So he was bumping up like pretty much every single year. And then he's off to the New York Rangers, where he obviously had a bunch of really good seasons where he put up more than a point per game one year, 81 points point per game another year, more than a point per game in the playoffs in 2021, 2022. I wish the Ottawa Senators would have given Mika Zibanejad a little bit more of a chance here, but at 6th overall, he was a pretty good pick, and I think third value, getting him, it's nice.
I'm curious to see how your picks are going to play, Pilsy, because you certainly got good players, but I mean, your lowest pick was 6th overall. Like these should be good players.
Yeah, and Pilsy, it's tough when you're referencing playoff stats for the New York Rangers that happened 3 or 4 years after the Sens got rid of a guy too. Like that's one of the things you went to immediately. I don't know about that.
He's a good player, and it was a good pick.
I'll tell you what. I knew I was going 3rd, so I only have 10 players on my list, but Zibanejad didn't make the cut for me.
Okay.
So you set me up pretty nice.
Wow. Stay tuned for Martian's honorable mentions.
Yeah, there are none. Actually, there might end up being 1 or 2, depending on how you guys go. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Hit us up with number 9 overall.
Yeah, number 9 overall. And we've had 2nd overall picks selected in this draft, but I'm actually going with the first time that we're taking somebody who was selected 1st overall in the 1996 NHL entry draft. The Senators took Christopher Phillips, the big rig. And I should probably mention that this guy's number is hanging in the rafters at the CTC right now. So, there's not many of those guys on this board. So I'm going to go ahead and point that out. 1,179 games played for the Sens. Not a big point guy, only 288, but that's not what he's there for. He was there for his reliability, his longevity, and his just defensive prowess back there. One of the steadiest defensemen you could ever find on the defensive side of the puck. Chris Phillips is a legend, Ottawa legend, and obviously the number retirement, I think, makes it clear that I'm going to take him in this spot.
Yeah, he would have been my 4th round pick had he gotten there. I just think when you get to a 1st overall pick, like,
yeah, but Ross,
should nail them.
Look at the rest of that draft. Show me a name you would take over this guy. They made the right pick. Yeah, well, okay. in the 1st round, we're doing 1st round pick selection.
Okay, I can get you one, I'm sure. Let's see here.
No, we don't. Chris Phillips, good. Played only with the Ottawa Senators, 1-1 pick. I respect it.
It's a great pick, and he's a great guy. It is worth noting, though, that Ottawa's 9th round pick that year, also a defenseman, has 60 more points than Chris Phillips in his career.
Okay,
who was that?
Chill
Sammy Salo.
Yeah. We're talking about, but who would you rather have on your team? Whose career would you rather have? It's definitely Chris Phillips over Sammy Salo. Sammy Salo was an offensive defenseman. Of course he has more points, Ross.
I mean, he got picked 700 picks before Sammy Salo.
238.
Apples to oranges, boys. And we're talking 1st round picks, so going deeper than that is crazy talk anyways. You can have Marty Reasoner if you want, Ross. That
you know what? You actually asked the question. I don't know whose career I think was better.
Whatever.
Sammy Salo had a real nice career, dude. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever, Ross. If you're stuck on Sammy Salo and that's your defense against my Chris Phillips pick, then I feel bad for you.
Okay.
I just feel sorry for you.
Yeah, feel bad for me.
You had to go all the way down. You had to go down to the dart throw 9th round. They don't even draft 9 rounds anymore to try to find a guy he thought was better. So
no, I actually just sorted the draft by points and noticed that an Ottawa Senators player had more points in that draft. He was not the highest point total player of his own draft class with his own team.
I see where we're at this draft, boys. I see where we're at. I've won 2 in a row. You want to comment me. You want to comment my picks. You want to get the listeners on your side. I don't think it's going to work. I think there's
Chris Phillips, friend of the show. This is nothing against
I didn't say anything
there's
about
too
Chris
much love
Phillips.
in the air. There's too much love in the air for Chris Phillips in Ottawa for me to be even remotely concerned about what Sammy Salo did.
It's just when we talk about games played with Chris Phillips, like,
Oh, here we go again.
the last 5 seasons were probably unnecessary.
You keep slamming Chris Phillips. Let's see what that does for you, okay?
I'm not slamming him. I'm
You're
just
slamming
saying
him.
Sammy Salo was a hell of a defenseman.
Okay. I've got the next pick as well.
Go.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this one. No, it's not going to be anything, I don't think, super surprising. I actually had this guy. He was 7th on my list as far as my rankings go. I think that this was a pretty good pick for where they got him. Another current Ottawa Senator that I think is going to play well on the graphic here. In the 2015 NHL entry draft at 18th overall, the Sens took Thomas Chabot in the middle of kind of like that Boston Bruins draft where he ended up kind of slipping to them. I think the Bruins would have wanted this one back. He definitely would have gone higher in this one if we did a redraft of this. 512 games played, all with Ottawa, obviously. 304 points, two-way defenseman. I mean, they drove this guy into the ground with the amount of playing time he was getting, the ice time. Obviously, some tough years here in Ottawa, but you could consider him a top pairing defenseman. And I think that I'm pretty happy taking Thomas Chabot here with my last pick in this draft.
Yeah, you got a nice mix of current and past, and
Thank you.
players that pull at the heartstrings maybe more than they did on the ice.
Yeah, watch. Pilsy's going to end up winning this one with like a bunch of like current.
Oh, yeah. I already know what he's going to take next, too. It's this guy.
All right.
Go for it, Pils.
All right. Without any further ado, I'm going to double dip into the 2020 draft.
Yeah.
I'm taking Ridley Gregg, the 28th overall pick, Ridley effing Gregg. This guy created one of the best Ottawa Senators moments any of us have ever gotten to be a part of. The empty net slap shot goal up against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Morgan Rielly didn't like it. You don't put the puck in the back of our net that hard with that much velocity. We don't like that here. Sens fans are using that picture, that moment, that meme. That felt good to do. Send all those Leafs fans home packed, crying, upset about how that went. And this guy brings such a different dynamic than most first-round picks bring. Sure, he's probably going to be a bottom 6 guy, but come the playoffs, I think when the Ottawa Senators get into some deeper runs, when it happens here, he's going to be a guy we look at and we're like, oh my God, thank God this guy's on our team. He's getting under a guy's skin. He's putting up points. He's playing a huge role as a checking winger as well. So Ridley Gregg in the 4th round. I like this. I'm trying to keep it current for the young fans here. I think this is going to pop nicely on the graphic here. I've decided to try to go away from just my own brand of guys I like and guys that I would choose and vote for. I'm going for the graphic here. I think this is good value for the 4th round.
The ultimate pander, and Martian, he said, I'm picking him of what I think he could do going forward.
Yeah.
Not what he has done, but he might be one of the
Did you miss my whole speech of what he did do, the empty net slap shot goal?
Sounds like you should have taken him for a cult hero rather than the best first-round picks of all time.
That's fair. I know. I can't believe we didn't talk about Ridley Gregg as a cult hero. We didn't even have him as an honorable mention.
No.
That was a big
No,
mistake.
we didn't, did we? Oh, geez. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of potential there for sure for Ridley Gregg to climb this list for sure. But Pilsy, only 69 career points so far.
More than Chris Phillips.
I mean, per game, yeah, but I mean, Chris Phillips has got way more points total.
How many career points?
69.
Okay, great. The player I'm taking next had 68 in one season with the Ottawa Senators.
All right, let's hear it then, Ron.
Okay. In the 1999 draft with the 26th overall pick, the Ottawa Senators selected Martin Havlat. They were a team that was already into playoff contention, and he was the definition of what Pilsy was hoping that the Ridley Gregg pick will become. And that's having a guy on your third line who can pop off to be a point per game player. You have a moment, Pilsy, for Ridley Gregg. I got an entire playoff series. The Ottawa Senators first round series against the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2006. The first series after the lockout. Holy smokes. This is one of the best series that any Ottawa Senator has ever had. In 5 games, Martin Havlat had 6 goals and 10 points. He was an absolute dog. Had 3 power play goals, 3 even strength goals. Martin Havlat, I know he probably priced himself out of Ottawa with that playoff series and had to get moved in the summer. Now, Tom Pricing ended up, at the time, it looked like a complete joke of a trade. Tom Pricing actually had a great season in 2007 to help Ottawa make the Cup final. But that was salary cap constraints, having to move Martin Havlat out. And what did he do? Continued having an exceptional career. Actually had his best season outside of Ottawa in, in Chicago. He had one elite season there. But in Ottawa, he was a consistent type player. And in 2003, had 59 points in the defensive system of Jacques Martin as a 21-year-old. Like, we always see those graphics nowadays where Tim Stützle and Brady Tkachuk, they're rising the all-time ranks in this high-scoring NHL that we're living in. But back in the dead puck era, they still had Marty Havlat putting up points. So Martin Havlat, to me, I almost feel like my team would look even better if I went Carlson, Spezza, Havlat, Foligno. But I had Foligno and Havlat one spot apart. So the board really fell in my favor here from the 3rd to the 4th round.
Yeah, I thought about going Havlat here, but I wanted to stick with my theme, so that's a good pick. I'm surprised, Ross, you were able to hold off the temptation of not taking Anton Volchenkov. I thought
he
for
was
sure
my
that was
12th pick. So if the board fell completely to where I needed to go with my 12-12, I would have taken Anton Volchenkov. But I didn't want you coming back at me, Martian, with the same arguments that I was making against Chris.
Yeah, that would have been priceless because I would have.
You would have had to.
I like to have that pick, Ross. I don't know if he gets the respect he maybe deserves amongst fans who are doing the voting for this.
That's why I strayed from him.
Do you want to know?
As the last pick of the draft, it's good value.
In the first one we did, the Sens that got away, you took Havlat, right? Did you end up winning that?
Don't know.
Yeah,
I think I did win it. That was the
one of you guys
that,
took Havlat. It wasn't me, but
it wasn't me.
In the 1999 draft, the only 2 first-round picks that have more career points than Martin Havlat are Henrik and Daniel Sedin. That's it.
You're doing a lot of research and work to try to make this Havlat pick look better than it is.
I didn't have to.
I'm hearing you rip off these stats, Ross. You're just pulling them out of like you're way in the depths trying to get this. Either you look at the name and you know what this guy accomplished, or I mean, you got to listen to Ross. Reach all he can to make this one look good. I don't know if it's going to play as well. That bottom half of the draft, we chirped Pilsy quite a bit for his bottom half of the draft. Ross, I don't really like the bottom half of your draft here.
Okay, that's fair enough. He's of all first round picks that the Senators have taken. By the way, points per game in Senators history. Just want to get this one out here.
Okay, another one. Okay, yeah, another one.
In Senators history, Martin Havlat and Brady Tkachuk are tied. Let's just put it. There's the bow on top.
Yeah, everyone knows that. Everyone knows that and thinks of that when they see Havlat.
Yeah. Well, maybe the younger fans needed a reminder that there's 3 players right now that were former first-round picks who in Ottawa Senators history have 0.79 points per game. Brady Tkachuk, Martin Havlat, and Claude Giroux. That's
that elusive 0.79 points per game. That's the benchmark. That's the threshold everyone's after.
A lot of people talk about it. Yeah.
Everyone talks about that.
Everybody talks about it.
All right.
Honorable mentions.
Through some honorable mentions. Yeah. I got a couple here since I started with Volchenkov.
No, we got to start with naming off our teams for the audio listeners. Video you can see right in front. I went first overall. I got Erik Karlsson, Jason Spezza, Nick Foligno, and Martin Havlat. Pilsy, you went second.
I have Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, Mika Zibanejad, and Ridley Gregg.
Yeah, and I've got Marian Hossa, Jake Sanderson, Chris Phillips, and Thomas Chabot.
Okay. Honorable mentions, Pilsy.
I was very close to taking Yashin with that last pick, but that would not play on the graphic. That was me being like, hey, he put up some big points in Ottawa, but Sens fans do not like him. So I went away from that. Part of me thought doing Daig as well, but again, that's another one that wouldn't have played on the graphic. Radek Bonk had me thinking, but you guys would have trashed that. You guys trashing my Bonk pick as a cult hero. I'm glad people backed me up on that. I couldn't believe how bad you guys thought that pick was. That's not where my draft fell apart in the Call Tiro moments, because Bonk was a good one. And then only other one I had that didn't make the list, I thought about going Yakimchuk just to get the hype train going, but didn't think it was the right move either.
Yeah, no. You can't be going with those two, whether it's Hensler or Yak. It's too early to have them anywhere close to that. You guys hit all of mine. A couple other honorable mentions would be Andre Mazzaros, who sneaky had a really nice career. And Patrick Eaves, 29th overall. He found longevity. He played a lot less games than I thought. I think he missed a lot of time in one stretch, but ended up playing into his 40s. So Patrick Eaves, he had a resurgence with the Dallas Stars towards the end of his career. So I thought that would have been an okay pick. I threw this one on here, obviously not to take. It would have looked horrible in the graphic, but like at the end of his career, people are going to look back and be like, Cody Ceci played a lot of hockey games.
Dude, and did you guys see I saw on Instagram, someone put a graphic. Cody Ceci has now passed Wayne Gretzky in career earnings.
Yeah,
isn't that insane to think of? Like, this guy just keeps getting contracts, keeps getting paid, keeps getting general managers to be like, we need him on our team.
Yeah, good for him.
It's incredible.
Good stuff. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, good job not taking him there, Ross. You're right. You probably would have got roasted for that one.
Speaking of which, let's do a quick team Ring of Honor. The worst first round picks in Senators history. Just four as a team.
Brian Lee
has got to be 1-1, no?
1-1 is Brian Berard. Taking a guy 1-1 who was never going to sign with you?
Yeah, but I mean, they traded him for Wade Redden.
I know, but you still went up and said...
No, Brian Lee's worse than that.
Yeah, I think Brian Lee's worse too, but they're both awful.
Okay, so they both make it. My other two picks, and you guys can defend it, but right now, 10th overall, Tyler Boucher looks awful first round pick.
Not great. But that one, Ross, you look around and other guys, there wasn't like way better players in that area.
Matt Coronado being 2 picks later, he just signed for 6 sheets.
Yeah. But it's not as egregious as some of the other ones, but yes.
It makes it so much worse that it's coming off the heels of the best first round ever. They're like, how can we just get one more guy? Yeah. Injuries have obviously played a role there, and they have played a role here too. Logan Brown should be in this conversation.
For sure. Yeah. And also no comment on the Tyler Boucher thing from me.
Jared Cowan and Jacob Klepis.
Yeah, Cowan had some good moments though.
Yeah, he did.
He's in that Montreal brawl.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was huge in that.
Yeah, he was. Jacob Klepis, and then I put Tim Gleason too, because he couldn't agree to a contract either. But then Ottawa flipped him for Brian Spolinsky, who had some good years with the Sens too. Yep. So those are my honorable mentions. But yeah, so the worst first round picks in Senators history will go with Brian Berard, Brian Lee, Logan Brown,
and Boucher was the other one you mentioned.
But are you whacking that?
You want to put I can't. I have no defense at this point. I think there's a chance that maybe he somehow has a good season this season, and we can talk a little bit differently.
Put Dag in there, because we did Dag twice on our players that you should have taken over said player.
Sure.
Okay, so our official list is Alexander Dag, Brian Lee, Logan Brown, and Brian Berard. Worst first round picks since.
I also thought of a good Ring of Honor. How about we do the Ring of Honor of our best Ring of Honor topics?
That's that we're scraping bottom.
Yeah, that's tough.
We still got to do this current core, which I think is going to be very good
be a tough one,
to wrap it up. Yeah, awesome. All right, boys, great show. Hope everyone has a great weekend. We're a week closer to Senators hockey. For today, we say goodbye. For Lalimes Martian and Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. Make sure you go vote on Twitter at Sens Central. This has been another edition of the Ring of Honor, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.